The recording is in progress.
Hey, look at that.
Hey, isn't that special? That's pretty good. I like when that happens. That's nice when recordings start in progress. Those are some really nice bookshelves, I should say, by the way.
Thank you
Bob,
so much.
aren't you going to say anything about my bookshelves?
I already complimented you. I said yours
That's
were outshining mine.
That's no, that's not true. That you did say that, but I don't believe that that's true at all. And we both have very nice bookshelves, and
I
we
feel
should.
like your organization is much better than me. We're going to talk about
Well,
organization of bookshelves for a
we
minute.
could talk about organization of bookshelves, but quickly, last time we spoke, I'll get to a presentation format soon. But the last time we saw each other, you were very excited about these bookshelves. I remember.
Oh my God, was
So
I?
just quickly tell us
Oh
what's
yeah,
so.
I have dilapidated bookshelves. I'm in a one-bedroom apartment with my spouse, Creota.
Right.
I'm explaining because I'm assuming someone other than us might hear this conversation.
They might, yeah. And I
So
will ask about Creota actually.
yeah,
So
okay.
yeah.
So Creota and I have a lovely but slightly small one-bedroom apartment having strong shelves that you can put in the middle of a room to make one room two small offices. It's very
Right.
important. So I had to find shelves. I got these metal library shelves. I don't want to promote the corporation I bought it from, not the one that starts with A, but
Okay.
I bought them from some corporation. And
Okay.
but you can find them online. They're like red metal shelves and they're very sturdy and I didn't have to like lash them to the wall. And I was tired of having wooden bookshelves that would just kind of sag under the weight of all my freaking books.
Yeah. I mean, I think I didn't expect them to be red though. I don't know. Maybe you told me that before.
You can
I
get them
don't.
in black. I
Oh,
uh,
okay.
I Creota likes color, and I thought that they look nice. So
They do. They're very handsome. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, the amount of people we know who have sagging bookshelves and who have bookshelf issues.
it was
Um,
terrible. I
what's
was
that?
just waiting for the books to collapse on me. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could die. So that was a good purchase. They're very handsome, very, very handsome bookshelves.
thank you so much.
So to kind of format us, as I was saying to you before, first of all, I'm wearing a tank top because it's New York City and it's summer and it's really, really hot. So excuse my hairy shoulders. It's just if I put on the air conditioner, it'll be massively loud. So and nobody will hear us.
I hear
But
you.
yeah, but you look very handsome. You look
Oh,
great.
thanks.
And
Thanks.
and as you do your bookshelves. And so the thing is like, first of all, New York City for, the majority of the last 100+ years has been the epicenter for comics and cartoons, cartooning at least. And so therefore there's a very lively community here and a lot of us know each other and I mean, there are multiple groups, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
There's subsets of comic cartoonists I don't know who are
there's
here,
absolutely that I
and I
would
mean
never know.
bigger subsets than my subset. So yeah, I mean I wouldn't.
Exactly. But we're part of we're a subset. We're
Mhm.
we socialize and we see each other and we hang out
Yeah.
and stuff. And the thing is like I personally feel like we have pretty good conversations.
Mhm.
Not just about comics and cartooning, but in general, as you know, about furniture. Obviously. But therefore, I wanted to have record my conversations with my friends, and then maybe somebody else will find it interesting or informative or whatever it is. Therefore, that's why I wanted to speak to you, and I appreciate. Now I'm being all Merv Griffin, but now we're in the middle of the show.
Where did you was Merv Griffin like national? I don't know if he was like a local guy. I mean, I remember in New Jersey watching Merv Griffin as a kid. But was he like syndicated worldwide?
I'm pretty sure
Nationwide?
Merv Griffin was syndicated. Yeah. As far as local, I see. The thing. No, I think Mike Douglas was syndicated
Mhm,
as well.
mhm, mhm.
I'm trying to think of just purely local guys.
I
Um,
forget where you grew up. Like, I mean, Merv Griffin is a deep cut, but I know exactly who you mean.
yeah, 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 yeah. Because we're of a certain age. No, yeah. So I grew up in Queens in New
Okay.
York. And where you were in Jersey,
New
Bob?
Jersey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Where
was
at?
Somerset County, Manville,
Okay,
Jersey, very tiny speck of a town.
gotcha.
Not
Now,
no complaints, just it was small.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
everyone knows.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Ah,
I grew up in Queens, but I grew up in a tiny part of Queens.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but now you're in the big city as I am, and we can have sophisticated conversations.
Sure.
Yeah. So so the thing, part of what I realized speaking to you, as opposed to speaking to several of other of our friends, is that I think the thing that you and I have in common as artists is we draw like other people.
Yeah.
We tend to draw like other people.
Yeah.
We mimic. Um,
Mhm.
and part of that is, you work in animation on occasion, and I work in animation on occasion. And part of that is that's simply what you do. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to draw like everybody else that's sitting next to you. But you as your art, you've taken mimicry to a certain level of art, and I've tried to do that too, and I've inked you, and I know that you can draw Ramona Fredden as well as Ramona can.
Yeah. In
um
small doses. That's the thing.
in small
I can do
doses.
these things in small doses. It's like I
Me
use
as well.
my powers pretty quickly when I do it. It's like I can get a drawing to look like her, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. So, but where does that where does
What
that
is
come from,
the
do you
impulse?
think?
Well, I did get into animation and I love animation. I was always interested in it, but I didn't get into animation until I'd actually had a long career in comics. And I grew up reading Mad Magazine. My brothers and I would make comics together and we would often do parodies.
Okay.
So I was always interested in that. I
Okay.
and I think maybe my interest in comics kind of reflects the way I draw because I really love newspaper comics. I really love Peanuts. I said I grew up in Jersey. There was a great newspaper called the Star Ledger that, if I remember correctly, had 4 pages of comics, like big
You
comics
mean you mean in the daily?
in the dailies. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
maybe
That's
it was
pretty
two,
good.
but as a child, it felt like a lot of comics.
Sure,
And I
sure. Yeah,
remember
yeah,
just
yeah.
sort of seeing all of these styles, and I didn't read Mary Worth so much until I got older.
No,
As a
nobody
kid,
read.
I would
Don't
read them.
worry, nobody read Mary Worth.
Yeah.
That's that's you were normal.
Now I read it more now than I did as a kid. Anyway,
I would.
um, anyway, I liked all of those. I liked that format. I liked those styles, but my brothers and I also collected superhero comics,
Right.
mostly Marvel. So I knew all of those characters. So I guess my references were very different. I mean, Schultz was never going to draw Fantastic Four, and I'd love
Right.
to see Kirby draw Snoopy, but it never
Yeah.
happened. So I think I had these two poles of interests in comics and Mad. I mean, I loved Mad. I always loved comedy.
Right.
So satire, parody, that spoke to my brothers as well. So we did a lot of pastiche. And I also, so I was always interested in different styles. But the time I got to school, I went to school at Parsons in New York
Right.
in the 80s,
Right.
really into Raw magazine by that point, by the time I was like in college. And I was really influenced by Gary Panter. I loved that sort of like raw, visceral drawing, that
Right.
funky look of his. But I also, at some point, realized I, Gary already had lots of imitators.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
it
Right.
was like I would have only been a second rate Mark Merrick, who I love, but he also sort of felt like he was also evoking Panter. I mean, Mark's
He
got style.
was. Yeah, I know
Mark,
what you mean. Although as good as Mark's really good. I
he's
mean,
amazing.
he's
I love his
amazing.
stuff.
But it,
And
it was part of the Panther school.
yes,
It's kind
that
of
kind
true.
of like that punk, ratty line aesthetic. I mean,
Right.
it's not really fair to Mark. I love Mark. I met Mark in college. I was in awe of him. I just thought he was amazing. But I also sort of felt like I didn't want to be sort of lumped into that group and then be, oh, there's another guy doing stuff that sort of looks. So I didn't want to just do work that looked like those folks. And
Were
then,
you playing around with that style?
oh yeah, in school,
Oh.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
very
wow.
scribbly stuff.
Oh
Um,
wow. I'd love to see that actually.
Maybe I will show you some of it.
Okay.
Or maybe I
Okay.
won't. A
Okay.
couple things got in mini comics back in the day, but
Okay.
uh uh but I mean I was very unformed. I mean I was like 22. I mean I feel like you kind of I felt like you were figuring out a style very young. I mean, I remember seeing your work when I was really young, and we were both really young.
We were both really young.
A little younger than me, I think. So,
We're both still very young.
yes, we're both
We're extraordinarily young for our advanced years.
true. In any
Yes.
case, I was playing around with different styles, and then but Raw also did that thing where they would do pastiche, art, and Charles Burns would do like Nancy parodies. Mark Newgarden famously did an amazing Nancy parody.
Yeah.
Um, so sort of seeing that postmodern approach was kind of a way for me to sort of go back to what I liked in Mad, which was like doing the different styles. I actually took a class. I went to Parsons, but I also moonlit and I sat in on classes at SVA. I got to
Right.
sit in on a class with Art Spiegelman and another class with Mark Newgarden and Paul Karasik. And in particularly in the second class, which was longer, I was able to sort of start working on like these very reverent, visually accurate pastiches, even though the content was different, the styles were very much on model. And kind of when I
Okay.
started doing that, I was like, oh, this is special and this is for me. This felt like more it reflected me better than doing sort of like I said, a second rate or third rate Panther impression.
Right, right.
Um,
That's interesting though, because let's talk about this for a minute though, because I understand what you mean. But at the same time, it's kind of it doesn't make sense because you feel like, oh, this is my thing. I can draw like this, or I can draw like this, or I can draw like this. But in a sense, you're drawing like someone else.
yes.
You're not, I mean, I sort of default fell into a style,
Mhm. Most
and
people do.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
And if you stick to it long enough, then it gets nuanced and then it becomes something. And
that's true.
maybe if I stuck with that scribblier approach, it would have, turned into something.
Right, right, right. But what do you feel like? Do you feel like, oh, I'm connecting with this? This is me. Do you feel like it's because like no one else was doing exactly what you were doing, or
Well,
you were
I
doing it a little more exacting than say Charles Burns or
yeah.
Newgarden?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I realize now as I told you that story, I think I kind of compressed 10 years into a
Oh,
sentence
okay.
because when I was in school and doing it and starting to do these different styles, I was like, oh, this is fun. This is interesting. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because even when I was in school, I did get a lot of flack in school because even if I wasn't like doing Panther per se, I was jumping around stylistically a lot. And some of my teachers were the kind of people who would say, well, if you're going to have a portfolio, you really have to show one kind of work.
Right. Is that so? You teach now. Is that the kind of advice you'd give to a student?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Um, but
I
but
just wanted to
that's
know. Yeah.
me. That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see, and I mean sometimes I will tell students if you want to we're covering a lot of territory here, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just to let you know.
Yeah.
But as far,
I'll corral us
yeah, please
to.
do. Because I'll wander off into the on
No.
the
No. No. You're good. This
okay.
is gold. This is all gold.
So, I mean, as far as what I tell my students is, if you're trying to get work from someone, of course, like compile all of your like line work into one page on your portfolio so you can direct people there and say, this is I do this one kind of style if you want this. But if you do different things, you can have different pages on your website, or you can sort of like have different portfolios. I know friends who sometimes would have like two portfolios and they take
Yeah.
one. So, I mean, this is the 90s when there were magazines, but you take one portfolio out and show it to all the business magazines that had all the people you had to draw people at desks all the time, and
Right.
take your like crazy sci-fi art to the book publishers who want covers or illustrated book drawings.
Right.
You
Right.
you find your audience and you show the work that you want to get from the specific art director or what have you.
Right.
So I would say that to students, but if people want to explore in college, like I learned so much by trying out different things in college. I would never discourage anyone from like trying out everything.
Right.
You know, what could have happened with me is, and sometimes it did happen. I would get it after I graduated, I would get a job and I'd be asked to draw in a certain style and be like, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 months because that's what they want.
Right.
and then I would either do it again or I would never do it again. But you know,
Right, right,
you
right.
have the opportunity to do different things, and you have different skills, and like play with them all and see, you know, just try to discover it. Don't be
Yeah.
shy about trying things out.
I mean, maybe it is my animation background, but I still when I do teach or run a workshop or something these days, I still put a strong accent on like, okay, well, versatility is not a bad thing. I mean, it's always going to work for you.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like, well, learn the rules of drawing. The more tools you have in your arsenal, the better off you are as an artist. You can make more choices, and you could mix and match and use whatever you want.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I still kind of feel like having multiple styles or being able to draw in multiple styles is not a bad is not a bad thing. I don't know what the future holds for that kind of thing,
Right.
but yeah. Do you remember? So what was? I mean, I'm sure I saw it, but so what was the first like pastiche thing that you did that got published?
Well, it was actually the comic I did in Mark and Paul's class. They had a comics anthology called Bad News, and
Okay,
it had some work from students, and it had some work from ringers, you know, professionals who were like in this magazine. And it was a little bit like Raw. Mark and Paul either worked with or were published by Raw. So they had similar
right.
sensibilities and concerns. So Bad News kind of felt a little bit like Raw. This was in 88.
Okay,
And it was the story I did for the class, which was adapting anecdotes from the life of John Cage in in the style of different newspaper comics. Uh,
okay,
and I love John Cage, and that was the other thing I think that kind of inspired me to do different styles was because John Cage's whole approach, famous 20th century composer, very avant-garde. He would often talk about like keeping his own taste out of the work that he would made. So he would come up with strategies for creating music or creating sounds, but not
huh,
letting his personal taste get in the way. And that really appealed to me. I think
okay,
I really like the idea of like being in disguise, you know, dressing up as someone else. So I felt like I kind of do that by taking on different visual styles. And I
right,
really, when I read his work, when I read his, because he not only was a composer, but wrote some really smart essays and books about music and about his,
okay,
and that was a big influence on me. Um, and reading that stuff just got me very excited about that idea of like,
okay.
how can you make work that is kind of outside of your own limitations or your own um prejudices or strategies. I mean that
Okay.
sometimes those are good.
Yeah.
It's not like these are all bad things, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
just getting out of your own head, I think was also it. I just I wanted to think
Yeah.
outside beyond my own brain.
Yeah. I get that. Although something you said just kind of spurred an idea in me. It is kind of like putting on a costume when you draw in other people's styles.
Yes.
And are you the youngest
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
brothers?
Yeah.
I'm the youngest of my siblings as well. Maybe there's something about because I don't know, just for me in particular, it was like, if you put on a costume, if you disguise yourself, you can get anywhere. You can
Hmm.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you could see things that you wouldn't normally get to see
Hmm. Yes.
because you're incognito, because
Yeah.
you're sort of invisible. And also I think for me, and maybe for you, I remember I had some 8-page story to do, and I just thought I'm going to draw this like Maurice Sendak, and that was a long time ago, and it was a terrible story, but it was a great way to learn actually,
Hmm.
because up to that point I hadn't really drawn anything that looked anything like Maurice Sendak,
Yeah.
and I learned a thing or two, so
Yeah.
it was a great little lesson.
Yeah.
And that's generally how I learn anyway, is just by taking on little things and exploring
Hmm.
it. So
Hmm. Yeah.
um and then so with that story, did that solidify like what you wanted to do, how you wanted to move forward with your comics?
Well, it's really funny because I did that story. It was published, and then I had been helping out in the offices at Raw magazine, which is Art Spiegelman and Francois Mouly's comics
Right.
anthology that I loved,
Yeah.
and that's why I ended up in his class, and that's why I ended up taking the class with Mark and Paul because I was so enamored of Raw. So anyway, and I'd already met them, so I was able, I was working with them. Art saw the story I did that was published in Bad News, and he asked me if I would do a page for the next issue of Raw. I was already
Okay.
working there, but I would not have thought of asking, "Hey, can I submit something?" I did,
Right.
I just didn't. I I remember where I was when he asked me that because that was like a pivotal, like that was a real shift in my sense of like who I was as a cartoonist. Like, oh,
Where were
in
you?
Raw, I'm going to be in Raw. I could be in Raw, and so what to do for that? I thought I only had one page. I had to be conceptual. I pitched a couple of ideas, and the one that he went for was a parody of Bazooka Joe that retold Dante's Inferno, and he liked that idea, and it was like, and then I was doing it again. I had done this strip with all these newspaper parodies, and then I did this strip that was parodying Bazooka Joe, and then I was like, oh, this seems to be something. And I think, either that story or the next one I did at some point early on, Art was like, you could do a book if you just kept making these kinds of things. And that was like, yeah, I could. It's like, oh, a book
Right.
in 1990 or whenever that was that he said that to me, early 90s. There weren't a ton of graphic novels. They
There
weren't
were not a ton
cartoons.
of books.
Yeah, so
No.
then he suggested that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. If someone told me that now, I'd be like, all right, I'll go get a contract or an agent or something. At the time, I was just like, oh yeah, that I could do that.
Right.
Graphics was publishing. I mean, there was a lot of great stuff coming out, but it wasn't
That's
like
true. There was a lot of avenues, but not a lot of books. Yeah.
a lot of what news.
There were a lot of avenues, but not a lot of books.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I mean, but again, they were publishing things, but it wasn't, I came to New York because I thought I could make a living in illustration and make comics on the side, which worked out for a long time. Magazine illustration pays great, paid great.
Right.
Pay,
Right.
you can still get it. It pays great.
Right. Right. Right.
There
Right.
are places. Anyway, so yeah, so early on, the Bad News story came out. I did the Bazooka Joe parody for Raw. It was like, I'm already doing this, and this speaks to me, and it was fun to make this work. And the story I did for Bad News, actually, I worked on it for months. I like put it aside. I did most of it during the class, and then I put it aside and worked on it some more and finally finished it. So it's
Okay.
like I was slowly making this stuff because I was, learning to do different styles has never not gotten easier. But
No.
I still like doing it. So anyway.
Yeah. 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 So wait. I feel like we've gone from New Jersey and Marvel Comics to Raw and Bad News.
Well, Peanuts
So
was there too.
and Peanuts. Well, Peanuts, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm always interested in who's reading the funnies, actually.
I really love that format.
Yeah, because I feel like it was really integral to me. That was my first outlet
Mhm.
to comics.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it like rings, if people recognize it. If we talk to younger artists, if they'll know what we're talking about at all. I'm always fascinated by that too.
I
So
I just did a lecture. Well, I was part of a exhibit, and then I was part of a discussion in New Jersey at the William Patterson University. I'm gonna forget the name of the gallery. How embarrassing. Oh, they did a show of Sunday comics, and they were presenting
sounds
pastiches
familiar.
of Sunday comics. Yeah, Karen
Okay.
Karen Green was also involved in this,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
a number of other people you know.
Yeah.
But we were describing it to the students, and it was like I didn't think to bring in physical Sunday pages because I have reprint, like full size, like reprints of Sunday pages, and to see them the actual scale, it's like kids, even if they see like some newspapers or tabloid now, to see the old scale of them
Yeah. Yeah.
is really special. And I was like, they're not quite. I mean, they know many of the characters, but they don't, and Calvin and Hobbes, but they not seen them in the context of the strips next to each other, which was all
Right.
exciting, which is also what I do. It's like putting the characters next to each other. That is so much a part of what my work is about. Is like having Peanuts next to Beetle Bailey or Prince Valiant or whatever, but having the strips next to each other, these universes bumping into one another, like that's
Right.
part of the excitement for me.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, it does. It sets up kind of an interesting vibe
Yeah,
going
yeah.
in your strips. But let's So yeah, I always feel like the strips are esoteric for some reason. But
Well,
let's
as a
talk.
format, it's kind of, I mean, even, I mean, do
Yeah,
if people read superhero comics, they might just be reading the graphic novels.
right.
So they're not even experiencing the lovable but but silly floppy format.
Yes,
As much as
yes.
I love it,
I
it's
mean,
like
yeah,
not
I seem.
practical.
Yes, I seem to have given them up. But tell me, I'm always fascinated by this. I'm really fascinated by this. How do you go from how do you go from Master of Kung Fu to Bad News? I think about this a lot. I don't know. I don't even know if it's an interesting question, but it always fascinates me. How do you like go from Marvel Comics to like saying like, well, what else is there? What how do you there's a point where you realize like, oh, there's more art to this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it may be a matter of my age. I mean, so I was born in 64. And so by 1980, Love and Rockets was coming around. I was seeing that. My older brother was collecting that. I didn't see a lot of Crumb. I don't remember the first time I saw Crumb. I mean, I must have seen it, but I don't remember
Yeah.
in the house. I don't think we had any Crumb comics in the house.
Okay. So
Yeah,
your brothers never went there.
I, maybe they did and they didn't share it with me.
Oh, okay.
My older brother is 7 years older than me, so he was out of the house by 1980. He'd already moved out.
Was there National Lampoon?
Yeah, I wish I read that more. That seems like that would have been the right. That seems like that would have been the right jumping on point for me. I just read the Sherry Flanagan book, Trots and Bonnie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so fun. And then also the book, Subitsky's book.
Okay.
Ed Subitsky,
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing stuff. I think that would have blown my mind. I didn't see a lot of it, and
I didn't I didn't either.
I think also maybe with Lampoon, just the kind of like adult aesthetic of the editorial stuff might not have appealed to me at the time. I think I did see the newspaper parody because
Okay.
like, oh, I know what this is.
Right. Right, 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 right.
I think I might have seen that in the 70s because there was like a newspaper pastiche that they put out.
Yes.
Uh, And I think I saw that.
Okay.
But I don't know if I was as adventurous as a kid. But in any case,
I was.
by 1980, Love and Rockets was coming out, and that's the perfect like transition. It's like, oh, this stuff sort of looks like Ditko and Kirby, but it's weirder and it's got its own thing going on.
Yeah,
And but it's I mean, especially the early issues, it's like they were also kind of moving into new territory. If you think
they were.
the earliest ones, it was very sci-fi and very genre. So it's very
Yeah.
easy to look at that stuff and go like, oh, this is cool. Um, but then by the time I went to I got to New York in 83. I was reading the Village Voice. There was a big article about American Splendor, probably 84.
Okay.
It was before the book collection came out.
Okay.
I seem to remember seeing it in 84, and I was also I was near the village, near Forbidden Planet. So I that's where I saw Raw the first time.
Okay.
So that's 83. And it's like I was already kind of, I mean, superhero comics were kind of faded out at that point. I mean, I guess I was still reading them. You know, I
Yeah, I was too.
Frank Miller was still interesting to me at that point.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, he's still interesting to me now, but I meant like he was sort of like the carryover from the sort of superheroes I grew up with to like,
Right.
oh, this is like he's trying stuff out because I hadn't seen Krigstein.
Right.
I didn't see I saw a little of the Spirit that also just felt really foreign to me.
You
Uh,
didn't have like the Smithsonian Book of Comics?
oh, oh, the newspaper comics. Yeah, I think we did.
No, newspaper comics, but like just even like or the Jules Pfeiffer book. You didn't have it when you were young?
We might have had the Pfeiffer book.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
I don't have that. I don't have that memory of it that
Okay.
where I don't remember it hitting me. Maybe it was in the house and I looked through it, but I
Okay.
don't know if you think I'd have loved that just I mean, the newspaper one specifically. I don't
Sure.
remember when I might not have gotten that until I was in high school or college.
Okay.
I mean, I've had it. I mean, it's on my shelf. I've had it for so long, I can't remember now when I got it. But I mean, yeah,
Okay.
that I should have.
Yeah, well, the newspaper comics, yeah, it seems if
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you loved the funnies, yeah.
yeah.
I bizarrely got it when I was 13. It I just at Brentano's in the Queens Mall. It just called to me, so I had to get
That's
it.
funny. I don't remember. I used to go to bookstores. I used to collect paperbacks. We collected a lot of like Peanuts and uh, I had I had Ziggy, we had BC, all Family Circus, just the
Yeah.
I mean, I was really attracted to the humor ones, which I think is also funny because as much as I was reading superhero comics, they weren't funny.
No, I was sort of trying to figure out because there's a lot of people like at that who were into comics at that age who didn't look at the Hernandez brothers and say, wow, that's a new avenue, and then find Spiegelman and say, like, oh, wow, this is, they just kept going along the superhero route, which is totally fine. That's their thing. But
Yeah,
I think there's something about us, which is like, the people who went the other way, and I think humor has a lot to do with it. I think,
yeah,
in a sense, that Mad Magazine,
yeah,
whether we were reading or not, that sensibility where, Raw comes from is like, oh, yeah, we do love like Green Lantern, but, or in your case,
Fantastic Four, probably.
Hank Pym, Goliath. I love Goliath, but there's got to be something else because he's not funny,
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm wondering if like that's kind of the key where you offshoot
It
all of a
might be.
sudden.
I mean, I also I don't know. This is psychoanalytical. I don't know. There's something about me that's like there must be something more, or like what am I missing? My brother does this. Well, both my brothers are collectors to a certain extent, but I feel like my brothers also have a cataloging gene, and I think we like to sort of like know about what's going on.
Yeah,
Oh, well, what else is happening? Like I should know about this. Like
yeah.
you need to be a well-rounded comics reader.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess there's psychology to that, but it just sounds like a character thing. It just sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that's what you like,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what makes you happy. I totally get it. I'm a lot like that.
I think when I was a kid, I was more taken by format. So like I could see like people sticking with the superhero format because there's something like familiar and repetition. I love repetition. And there is the repetition that's fun about, I mean, like a four-panel strip. I think a lot about like newspaper comics where every day could be the first day you read it.
Right.
Something kind of beautiful about that. And no one really thinks about story that way
It
anymore.
is. It is really, really beautiful. It is really elegant. Speaking of format, I'm gonna pivot now. Merv Griffin. So I think this is where you met Creota, and I do want to talk about Creota, but I was hanging out with Robbie Bush in the East Village in the '90s, and there
Mhm.
was a big scene, there was a big art scene, and you and Robbie and several other people, some of whom are relatively famous now, you formed this cabaret show
Mhm.
called Yikes,
Yes.
and I attended them for the most of them anyway. And you were doing performance back then.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
You tell us what your performance was,
Sure.
because those were awesome, and I have a question about that.
Oh,
But tell
thanks.
us.
Well, I did a lot of different things. I was really interested in like where visual art met theater because I as in high school I would do plays and things like that, and I was interested in that in
Okay,
acting. I mean, I did, I never pursued it that way, but when I got to New York and started seeing people doing performance art and going to places like PS 122 and Dixon Place and the Kitchen and a lot of the downtown scene, La Mama. I knew a lot of people. I knew the Blue Man Group like back in the day because I had a friend who worked at Franklin Furnace and they knew
right.
everybody. So I had like a big scene a connection of people doing different kinds of performance art. Now, what you probably remember me doing at Yikes is at a certain point I started doing live painting.
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Yeah. So
But apparently you did things I didn't know about. What else did you do?
yeah, yeah, I would dress as a drill sergeant and recite Madonna lyrics. I did this t-shirt bit where I had like 100 t-shirts on. I would just scream and tear them off. There'd be different logos on them.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like found. So and the logos would be like existing logos. I wouldn't be inventing logos. I'd be kind of.
Right.
So I would sort of be. It would be like references to pop culture and contemporary culture, but done in this like very. I don't know. I grew up at Andy Kaufman, I think was my closest to a performance art model.
Okay.
It was just like weird, funny, but like, what is this?
That's a good model.
Well,
Sure.
I mean, I loved him.
Yeah.
Before I discovered, Laurie Anderson, he was my model for a performance artist. Anyway,
Gotcha.
so yeah, but you probably remember me, and you said you did. I would do these paintings, so I would have a canvas that's like, ideally like 6 feet by like 4 or 5 feet, sometimes bigger. Hang them up on the wall. I'd play this like driving music, like Glenn Branca, like guitar orchestra, like bombastic music, and I would do
That was awesome.
fast paintings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
You
still do,
would you would do like famous paintings. You would do
yes,
recreations of famous
yes,
paintings, but like at top speed.
yes. So I would pencil everything out very lightly. Hopefully, people in the audience couldn't see it.
Ah, that I did not know. That I didn't see
Um,
it. So
and I
where I
would
was sitting.
throw for the first minute, I'd be throwing paint around, and it would look like I was doing like a Pollock or like a de Kooning or something. It'd be very abstract. And then at a certain point, I'd start putting in a detail, and people would be like, "Oh, it's a face." And then when it worked perfectly, it was so exciting because people would like be into the energy of it because I would really be madly going at it.
It was very energetic. Yeah.
Um, and I was thinking of that like the idea of like the mad modern artist, that kind of conceit of like, the madman making like fine art.
Yes.
The goof on that. But so people would be into like the energy of it. And then at a certain point I would draw like an eyeball and people would go, and then sometimes they would like call out what they thought I was doing, like the Mona Lisa, the scream, like sometimes they
Yeah.
would go and over the course, this would happen in like 5 or 6 minutes. I would do it pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and it would quickly like resolve. It'd be very cartoony, but it would be like a cartoon version of like the Mona Lisa or the Scream.
Yeah, it was great. It was really visceral. It was really
Thanks.
graphic,
Thanks.
and but you could tell what you were doing.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
might be easier to see from farther back because I'm like right next to it. It's like, does this register?
It might have
It
been, but
usually works.
I don't think I ever like
Didn't get it.
wondered what the hell you were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Good, good,
so
good.
I don't know. I have kind of a stupid question. It seems kind of a dopey academic question. It's like, if you were a tree, what would you be? But it's kind of, but I don't know, maybe there is something to mine here. Do you feel like, because I've seen you as a performer and I know your comics, and anybody who is joining us, who is going to watch this, will know your comics likely, but they might not know that you're a performer. Is there an overlap? Like, is there any kind of is there any combination, or is it just you? It's just things that you like to do. Do you see any overlap between performance and comics?
Hmm. Um, well, uh, I can't
Yeah.
remember. I can't remember if I said this or someone else said it, but someone suggested, oh, I don't think it was me. Someone suggested that doing different styles in comics was like being a character actor.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of like drawing as performance. And I've heard other people talk about this a little bit. I do know
Yeah.
um there's something about sort of taking on the persona of a different artist to make a comic that
Yeah.
feels related. And that's kind of vague. But I do think there's something about like performing is dressing up. We were talking about dressing up as a different style. I don't know. I don't know if there's something there. I think the other thing about the paintings was I really like the process of drawing, and I really think there's something. And people post themselves drawing online all the time. I love Robbie's videos of him doodling.
Right.
There's something about that is always dynamic, and
Yeah.
I like that. I like using what I do in a public space, which is also, we haven't touched on carousel, and I don't, this is another hour maybe, but I also host comics readings and like other people doing like presentations with visuals. I mean, my show Carousel now is mostly comics artists reading their work with slides, but
Right.
we have had like drag performers, we've had like dancers performing in front of projections. We've had different things in the show, and that is something I've also been doing for like over 2 decades now, and
Yeah.
that I really love taking what I do privately and putting it in front of an audience and also seeing how other people translate their work from a internal, personal, private experience to like a public space. There's all, I mean, also just as someone who makes comics, there's nothing more satisfying than to have people actually gasp or laugh at something you've drawn. You would never hear the responses of a reader unless you have
Yeah.
spying on them.
Yeah.
Be able to
I'm always
present a
terrified
line.
of that. Like it petrifies me. There'll just be silence, and that's not good. But
Well, I also I love awkward performance. And I've done a lot
okay.
of it in my time. So
Okay.
like I'm fine with like I just heard Stephen Colbert say this the other night to somebody. He was saying like the last thing you want in a show is to have a surprise guest. Or you like have something go if something goes, oh, great television. He said if it's great television, it's probably terrible if it's happening to you in the moment. Like if you have a guest who's not responsive or you
Right.
get into an argument or there's like some like awkward dynamic, it's great
Right.
television because there's a real conflict that
Yeah.
as if you were performing it or if you were part of it, you would be mortified or it would feel unpleasant. But for an audience, it's very exciting. Does that make
So
sense?
so as a performer, you kind of like to use that.
I know it could happen.
Okay.
And sometimes I enjoy it. I mean,
Okay.
I've I've seen a lot of people do a lot of different shows, and every time I see something I'm not quite into, I'm like, well, I made people watch a lot of bad work over the years.
Okay.
Much more professional now. But when I started doing performance art, I was doing stuff like right out of college. I was doing stuff and like um I was hosting open mics and I was hosting other like performance events and I would try material out and sometimes it wouldn't work.
Right. Right. Right.
When I
Right.
see someone now doing something that's not working, I'm like, well, you know, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You try to be generous about this. So,
Yeah. That's
but I do like,
you have a good spirit.
I try to be, and I do like sort of like seeing what happens. I mean, just it's a different kind of energy and it's a different kind of excitement than just
Yeah.
struggling to meet a deadline.
I guess, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe I put my question kind of awkwardly, but I think you answered it. I mean, it is because there are very, I mean, there used to be a great tradition of this, is chalk talks and stuff like that. I mean, and
Okay.
when there was vaudeville, people would draw,
Yeah.
as part of it, part of the show. But it's kind of rare now, and I think that's what I was sort of connecting with, is like you're one of the people, one of the few people who actually uses drawing as theater, which is really rare. And I guess, and that is the crossover. You are the crossover, I think, is the thing.
Hmm.
So which is pretty interesting. I mean, again, because like I just don't know of very many other people that do it.
Yeah, I guess that's yeah, those sides of me are both of great interest to me. Um, so yeah, when I can do it, I do it. Now there is a tradition and even a career path for people who like to do live drawing because there's a lot of folks who do, oh, I forget what it's called. There's a term, it's embarrassing because I mean I've kind of looked into this. I've not done this myself, but there's people who will go to like business meetings and they will like diagram what is being described and what is being talked about,
Yeah.
kind of create like a visual narrative of the discussions of like a lecture on business.
What are they drawing?
They're literally illustrating what they're talking about. So someone's talking about like investing in this or um investing in this or that, or like how to make profits grow in that. And so they're doing diagrams of like people. You've not seen this.
No. Are they completely riffing? They're just like is it
You know,
improvisational, or are they planning what they're gonna do?
uh, I assume that they have. I assume that they have
Like prompts?
either they may have prompts or they may have strategies for dealing with the conversation. So sometimes they'll write words and sometimes they'll like connect words on so they'll be like drawing things on a whiteboard
Okay.
and then maybe they'll be like doing like diagrams, connections, arrows to connecting these different ideas.
Wow.
So Lloyd Dangle used to do this. You might
Oh,
remember
okay.
Dangle.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm sorry. You said didn't prepare, don't prepare. But this is of interest to me because there are people who do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's not the only one. Actually, I had someone in a carousel last year who does this in Australia. I'm so bad. I'm blanking on her name. I'm sorry. Anyway,
No, no, no.
um,
It's just
so
funny.
this is a career thing for some.
Well, so yeah, but you're doing a performance. They're doing business illustration. So that's a little bit
But
of
it's still like
difference.
drawing in front of a live
Live
audience
drawing. Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
for entertainment or educational purposes. But it's related. I
It's
don't
so
know.
funny. I would find that if I was in that meeting, I would just be find that distracting because I wouldn't be listening to what they're talking about. I would just be, I don't know, maybe I would learn something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm obviously I'm visually oriented, so I don't know. Maybe I would get it. I would just be so focused on like, oh, how's he doing that? Oh, how are they doing that?
Sure.
Oh,
Oh yeah, sure.
oh, why'd they use that line?
Well, it's
But
not
we're weird.
yeah, these aren't the kinds of meetings that we would be
We
invited.
wouldn't be in them, right? Yeah, strangely, nobody would ask us to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
in them. So I wanted to ask about are you okay?
I was gonna look up the person I was thinking of, but maybe I should stop that. We'll just let's keep talking.
You're cool. It's good. Well, put it in the as they say, the show notes
Okay.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
really embarrassed. I'm blanking out on names.
oh no. Well,
People
if
I
you
know.
want to, if
Yeah.
you want to, you should look it up because then I don't want you to be distracted. I don't want you to be feel bad that you left somebody out.
Right. Well,
That's
maybe
not
let's go
cool.
back to it at the end of the talk because I don't want to.
Okay.
I could be researching for 5 minutes. I don't want to slow us down. So.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask about so I want to ask about Criota. Because I mean, and you can tell us have you met and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm interested in is what's interesting is like you have one of the comics marriages
There's
in
a lot at this point.
and there are a lot.
It's funny because I mean even when we were married we would joke about this but I was like no even then it was like no there's several
Yeah,
like and no there's a lot.
there's definitely a history. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And but I'm just curious, like how the two of you, just in terms of logistics, like do you look over each other's shoulders? Do you show each other things? Are you like how does it work? Are you there and she's someplace else? She's usually someplace else, right?
She has a workspace at this place called the writer's room where she
Okay,
lives. Um and so she is often working there but sometimes she works here on the other side of this bookcase in fact.
okay,
Um,
okay,
So, but we know we share drafts. We talk about what we're working on. She'll
okay.
show me stuff in progress, and I'll give feedback. And I just today I was showing her the draft for my next book cover because yeah, it's great to have feedback.
Right.
And we're
It's instantly there. That's pretty good.
yeah, but I mean,
What?
I'll often show her something. Go, can you tell what this is? Because
That's that's that's
so
always a
much
good question.
so much of what I'm working on right now, I'm so is working with different styles and and my editors at Drawn and Quarterly are great, but they're much more involved at the back end than in the progress of making it. And
Right.
sometimes they'll give feedback, but generally they're just encouraging. If there's like an issue, we'll resolve it, but sometimes, they might miss something or I might miss something. So
Right.
it's great to show it to Criota and just go, what do you think? Does this make sense?
Right. What happens if she says no, I don't get that at all?
Um, I
I
I
guess I'm looking for dirt. Like what happens like when you're like, you don't get this? What the fuck? Like, if
We're
there's,
we're very polite, although I do,
you are very polite.
yeah, although I probably am a little too sensitive about word balloon placement, but
Wait a minute. On her part or your part?
uh oh, I just pick up on stuff that I don't think she bothers about. I was like, should the tail be that way? Like, I don't know, just little
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
I'm just
Okay.
I'm very nitpicky. I mean, and when I give her feedback, I'm like, this is nitpicky. You don't, and I usually tell my students this too, is like, I'm not the arbiter on this stuff. I don't know about that placement. Why don't you move that
I
over?
see.
Just like
I
I
see.
just
Okay.
the last draft she showed me, I had a couple things like, oh, you should mention this earlier. Like just little. She's working on a 200-page memoir.
Right.
I've never done anything like that. That's the other interesting thing. She makes comics, but I mean, I don't mean she makes comics. I mean, we make comics, but we
Right.
don't make the same kinds of comics. Her
Right.
comics are wildly different than mine. Mine are wildly different than hers.
Right.
Um, so she's working on this 200-page memoir, uh, and I'm often adapting some story or text that is locked in. I can't change anything, which
Right.
it's a big relief for me. I'm like, I don't have to figure out how Moby Dick ends. I know how it ends. So, but in her case, she's building this long narrative out of her
Yeah.
life, and I'm like, could just go earlier. Like I'm suggesting little things, uh, but
Okay.
I often say to her, like, sometimes I'll say, I think this is important, and then I'll say this isn't as important. Like
Okay.
I'll give her a say, like, I really think you should do this, but that other stuff, like, don't worry about it. And
Right.
I'll write notes on her drafts and leave them for her, and then I'll go, ask me if you don't understand anything, because sometimes I'll just be like, is this the right word? Or like sometimes it's just little things.
You
It's
write notes on her drafts like solicited or unsolicited?
no, no, no. I will say, can I read the draft?
Oh, okay.
She's willing
Okay.
to share it with me. She'll send
Okay.
me a PDF, and then I'll look at the PDF and I'll write on the PDF my notes.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't,
Okay.
no, I wouldn't
No,
say,
I know that's
yeah,
a recipe for being thrown out the window or
yeah. No,
having
I
rolling
absolutely
pins thrown.
wouldn't. But I
Yeah.
always say to her, I'm like, you don't know, I know you're not going to want all this. But again, the word balloon stuff, I'm just like, can you place that there? And she'd be like, no, it should be there. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
know. I
I'm very
mean,
I'm very persnickety about how things are organized. I don't
yeah.
but that's me. Like, there's a million. I love it when someone makes comics in a way that I don't, and not that she does this, but I love it when someone makes comics, uh and they try all the new stuff out. It's like, that's great.
Right.
Somebody's got to do that. She's not
Right.
doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes she'll do something like, does that make sense? Like, maybe that's, like, would I do it that way?
No, I
I get
mean,
very, I like, this is stuff I would never, like, I wouldn't do this with my students. But I get very much like, oh, I get very nitpicky about stuff that is not important.
yeah.
When I give feedback to Creota or to students, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about this, but I wouldn't be like, I fiddle with my work so much at this point. Sometimes I know I go overboard with other people's stuff.
I mean, sometimes, it really, I mean, the tail of the word balloon shows up is important. I mean,
Well, I know
I see
you.
this stuff too, actually.
I know you. I'm sure you think this, but this may be our generational, concern with the word balloon. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I can't remember now what it was in the last draft of Creotis thing, but I was like moving some balloon around, and she didn't say, I'm not going to do that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I realized it's like, nobody cares.
Yeah, no,
That's not what
nobody
the book
cares.
is
I
about.
mean,
It's like this emotional book, and it's like, I'm like, is that balloon right? Like, like that.
yeah, you have to know your audience a
Yeah.
lot of the time,
And,
and know what they're doing, and
and
sometimes it doesn't matter. But to you and I, if
yeah,
we're looking at our own work, it'd be like, oh, that needs to shift
yeah,
like a half a millimeter that way, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
then the comic works,
Yeah.
and
That
I mean,
tangent is
and
really
I guess
bothering me.
what, yeah,
That
yeah, right.
tangent, that line. Why is the shelf right at his head? Like that, that.
Am I creating a tangent
No,
on
you're
my?
fine. No, no, you're good.
Oh no. That would totally upset me. So yeah, so you guys make your comics marriage. I don't.
No, but
I hate to reduce it to comics marriage. You
no, that's
guys,
okay.
it's
But it is funny though, because we uh you know, she made films, she did choreography. We met like through her dance work and like
right,
my performance work. We had friends, mutual friends in theater and in dance, which is how we met.
right,
Um, so but she was always into Bugs Bunny, and she grew up reading like Dick Tracy collections and stuff in her library. Her mom was the librarian, and she would see all these cool comics.
that's cool.
She got me, and I loved what she was doing, and also just she's just so smart. Um, by the time she started doing comics, she was like, I don't want to, she didn't want to step on what I do, and I would never discourage anyone from making comics.
Yeah,
But it's also like it's not what she does is very different than me. I would say we both do a lot of historical research, but the kinds of comics that come out of it are wildly different. And
right.
uh,
They are.
it's it and no, I wouldn't. It would be fine anyway. But when we talk about us both making comics, we are both using Photoshop, but we're not thinking, we're not building them the same way, and we're not thinking about
Right.
our
Wait, what do
our.
you mean? Both using Photoshop?
Draw digitally. She started drawing on my Cintiq.
That's still
Years,
drawing.
hmm?
That's still drawing.
On a Cintiq? Why not?
That's drawing, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I'm saying like that's yeah, I don't know. It's just I thought you
Wait,
said like that's not drawing or something.
oh, no, 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 no. I meant we're both using the same tools,
Okay,
kinds of
I
comics we're
see, I
making.
see, I see, I see.
That's what I was saying. We're
Gotcha.
we're using the same technology to make comics, but the comics that we're making,
But different.
our concepts and our approaches of how to conceive them is entirely different.
Right.
Because like I was
Yes.
saying, especially now that she's making this memoir, it's personal. It's a narrative that she's kind of threading together from incidents of her life,
Right.
versus what I'm doing, which is, like I say, adapting existing texts and, using formats that are like came before me, and she's kind of, collaging different elements together in different ways. Anyway,
Right.
just saying that yeah, it's all drawing. Oh no, there's
Right.
no argument for me. It's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. I misunderstood what you were
that's
saying.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to so speaking, you mentioned Moby Dick.
Yes,
Now you've been doing you gave me one of these what would you call it? It was mini
mini
comic
comic. Yeah,
or
yeah,
like a sketchbook.
yeah. Mini comic. Oh well, yeah, that one was a sketchbook. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, of whaling drawings.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You were adapting whale drawings. Old drawings that you were sort of retooling for yourself, right?
Yes. Well, that specific thing, actually, that is one thing that Creoda and I both do, and she kind of got me restarted on that. Is she likes to make mini comics. So I actually have been doing more and more of that kind of work, and that's been fun. That's one thing we do collaborate on a lot. We
Okay.
go to shows, we go to comics festivals and things, and we sell our published books and also our self-published like mini comics.
Right.
So yeah, so the whaling sketches mini you saw was just a exercise slash project I started a couple years ago. When I got the new bookcases, I I, I reorganized my whole office, which is very small, but
Okay.
I did have room on my table to draw on paper, and I was like, I should draw on paper
Right. You were
as
drawing
an
on paper.
exercise,
Yeah.
because I really draw almost entirely digitally, and
Me as well.
it's such a time saver, and I love it. But it also is just there's so many shortcuts you can take on digitally. There's so many shortcuts you can do digitally that you can't do on paper, and I wanted to sort of have reconnect with that experience of just like the physicality of it.
Right.
So I started doing these Moby Dick related sketches. So that mini is sketchbook drawings based on illustrations from Moby Dick, old whaling images from the 19th century, stuff vaguely related to Moby Dick that I had collected in the process of making an adaptation of Moby Dick, which you have not seen yet, and I can't
No, I'm
talk
not.
about.
Right. Right. But toward that end, I
Uh,
have I have kind of like a amazing heroes question,
okay. Oh,
if that rings any bells.
I remember the magazine.
Yes. Very very kind of fanish. Is there a white whale project for Bob Sikoryak?
Well,
Go.
I can't really talk about all of them. I have a list of things I want to do. I I have 3 or 4 books that I think are promising, but until I get a publisher, I can't say too much about them. The
Okay.
Moby Dick the Moby Dick comic is one of them. I
Okay.
have been working on that on and off for over a decade. And I mean,
Okay.
I've done a lot of other work in between. I don't want to make it seem like it's something I worked on consistently, but I
Right.
picked it up again. Was it during COVID, during the lockdown? I did pick it up again and started. This was advice I got 10 years ago, maybe longer, which I only took 5 years ago, and I'm kicking myself for not taking it sooner. So
Okay.
if anyone is listening to this, I swear to you, this is really good advice if you can do it.
Okay.
I think it was Mark Siegel at First Second said this, and I've heard variations of it before, but Mark is a comics editor and publisher, and he also makes his own comics. And
Okay.
he said that he got into the habit of waking up 15 minutes early every day to work on his graphic novel.
Wow.
Every day.
That's dedication.
And over a few years, he got it together. And he said that some days it would go from 15 minutes to half an hour. But the idea is you open it up and you look at it and you work on it. And I
Right.
did that. I didn't wake up earlier, but I still do this. Now I do it with a 15-minute drawing. So
Okay.
one of those sketch drawings every day.
Yeah.
But I make a point of taking 15 minutes, it's more like half an hour every day to work on this project. So 3 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago now, I started doing that with the Moby Dick project, which I had abandoned maybe 5 years earlier.
Okay.
I picked it up and every day I worked on it for 15 minutes. And within a year and a half, I had a very readable draft of it, which is where
Oh
I'm.
wow.
So
Okay.
it's like I say this a lot. Creator doesn't love when I say this. If I died tomorrow, you could publish this thing. It's not done, but it's readable. It's like it's a draft of it. It
Okay.
you could look at it and you'd be like, "Oh, I see what he was going for." It's not drawn
Okay.
yet. It's like
Okay.
it's rough sketches, but all the dialogue is in place. It's all laid out.
Okay.
It's just it needs the polish of like finished rendering.
Okay. Well, two things come to my mind. One, stay healthy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have four
you're not
more
going
of these.
anywhere.
I have 4 more of these to do.
Okay.
I'm not in any rush to not make it.
So there's that. And then two, we both like agreed that we're kind of anal. And that we need to like make, the balloons work correctly. So I'm guessing like your roughs probably work as they are.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah,
yeah. And they're perfectly fine as
yeah,
comics and they'd work completely.
yeah. My only issue is the drawing is rough.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Like, but
Gotcha.
it's like
For
literally,
us, it's rough.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's supposed to look like a style.
Oh,
It's
I see.
it's not at the level of that style yet.
I see. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's like if I told you what the style was and you saw it, you'd be like, oh yeah, I could see how, you know,
I see.
another
Okay.
draft or 3 drafts later, you'd refine the style.
All right.
It's like it's all anyway.
All right.
I
Well,
I solved the crossword puzzle, the puzzle of putting all the panels together. I think of comics as crosswords. It's like you put all the panels together, you organize all the information on the pages, and then you
right.
go back and draw it, which is a
Right.
stupid way of doing comics, but right now I don't know of a better way to do
No, no. I mean, first of all, it worked for Ernie Bushmiller, and second of
it.
all, like it's everybody's process is just completely different.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense to me. And yeah, that's actually how I finished um my graphic novel in 2010 because I woke up. I mean, I don't necessarily feel like it needs to be like 15 minutes early because
No,
like I can't get enough sleep myself. But
I don't do
but
that.
I did back then. I was getting up at like 6:30
Mhm.
because I was going to an office every day, and I would work on Lucky for like a half an hour or an hour, and that's actually how I got it finished. But I
Yeah.
think I think the thing is I think, and I think you can't say this enough for artists, for young people learning to be artists, is like everything is consistency. You teach, I've taught, and my feeling is always like, look, I can tell you this stuff, you may not remember it until like 20 years afterwards. But the only thing you really need to do is, if you love this, you have to keep doing it. Everything is consistency, and it just doesn't go away like when you have 30 years under your belt or whatever. It's like, to get anything done, you just have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's amazing.
It took me a long time to get to that consistency. When I was in my 20s and I was doing performance and I was, working and I was doing freelance work, like I was doing a lot of different kinds of things.
Right.
And I still do a lot of things, but I'm better at organizing my time and like I said, and like you say, the consistency of working on it
Right.
more diligently.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you are yeah, you are pretty diligent. There's
Oh,
plenty of times.
I think now. I'm just saying compared to my younger self. Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Maybe
mean, my
maybe
younger,
maybe
before
that's
you know
true.
me, before you knew me very well.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So we're about an hour. I don't
Mhm.
want to keep you forever, but I do have some questions.
This is fun.
So,
I'm good with this. So,
but I have some comic booky questions to ask you.
okay. So now the fun's ending. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, the fun's completely ending.
Okay.
So get used to it. Now comes the really hard part.
No, okay.
Okay. Here's my first question. What's the first comic story that enters your brain? Upon my question. I just asked a question. What do you think of?
Well, this isn't fair because I just saw an advertisement for
That's not fair.
a Fantastic Four. I was thinking about the Galactus trilogy when we were talking about Kirby earlier.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
I mean, that's hard to answer out of
that was seminal for me as a
that's
kid.
hard to get out
And
of your brain.
I guess the people making the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, as it should be. All right. Well, that's a pretty good answer.
If you're, what I've read so many great comics lately. Did you read the new Sammy Harcum, uh,
No.
Blood, Blood of a Virgin? Blood of the,
No.
it's great. It's great.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't want to only shout out dead artists.
Well,
Sammy
speaking
Harcum's great. Just read Leila Corman's new book, Victory Parade, which is also wonderful and very different than her previous book, which I also thought was great.
Okay. All good recommendations.
So
Everyone should go
I
out
just want to make sure that I mention people, who are still selling books and
who
who
are
get royalties.
who are alive. Yes.
Maybe Kirby's family gets some royalties now. I don't know.
I hope so. Along those lines, can you name a creator whose work you used to dislike, but whose work you really like now?
Mm, wow. Yeah. Hmm.
See, these are my Merv Griffin questions, and like I had the next question is like, who did you used to like but you hate now? But I don't want to ask that because that could be awkward. But
I, even people I don't love, I appreciate the required work ethic or the stick-to-itiveness. So even artists who I never liked, I'm like, no, but you're doing it.
yeah,
I honestly even people who I never really got Dilbert. And I mean now Scott Adams has bigger problems than the fact that he doesn't draw well.
right,
Lots of problems.
right,
He's actually ill now, which also I don't want to speak. But regardless, it's like the guy built something. He reached an audience. It's like I salute that ability.
right.
But I mean, gosh, well, yeah, that was a really poor example because I know He said some really really awful things. So like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking on my shelf for people who I didn't like, who I like better now. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't really understand 40s comics. When I was like reading superhero comics and they would reprint stuff in the back, they'd reprint like 40s artists. It looked so foreign to me. And now it's just like, no, that was just the vibe and
Right.
super charming. And
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the words, so many words.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
man. Yeah.
but I mean, those always looks, it's amazing how that can happen. That, I was happily reading comics published in the 70s, but they would reprint stuff from 20 years earlier, and I'd be like, what is this? It would look so foreign. You know,
Yeah.
I never disliked Joe Manili, but I think he's
Okay.
great now. And I don't think he never registered for me as a kid when they would read
Right.
his stuff. He did
Right.
Westerns and probably some of the horror books,
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah.
He probably never registered for me one way or the other.
Right.
Um, and now I'm like, no, that's really good. That's really good drawing. It's a good drawer. I
That's
mean, it's
awesome.
square, but it's like solid. It's like I really appreciate like craftsmen, like stuff
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense to me, Bob.
But it just 20 years. It's kind of amazing what a short shelf life stuff has.
Yeah, yeah,
In the
yeah.
scheme of the universe, it's very short.
In the scheme, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and it is amazing. Well, it's just amazing to go back to reading Stan and Roy and just like looking like how much they packed like on a
Yeah,
page. It's just like.
yeah. This was a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it was for young people because they had the tenacity to actually get through it. Whereas I just want to like get to like, the final panel where Linus is throwing a potato chip
Yeah.
and it's hilarious. And I didn't have to read these entire paragraphs of what is going on through Janet Van Dyne's head.
Did, was
Um,
it, did you mind Lucy's soliloquies or Linus's soliloquies before the
No, no,
potato?
no, no, no. No, yeah, no. I mean, anything. I'm trying to think if there was anything in the newspaper comics that I didn't. I mean, in terms of reading, I would take in comics. I'd still to this day take in comics in a strange way because I'm perfectly happy not to read a balloon if I get what the drawings are saying to
Mhm,
me.
mhm.
And that's especially true with like mainstream superhero comics.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm like, I don't need to know what they're saying. I mean, unless what they're saying is like relatively clever. I don't even care about the plot. I'm
Yeah.
more interested if it's clever, but if it's plot, I don't give a shit. I just want to see what's going to happen next because the art's going to tell me. I mean, that's
That's
just
still
what
the
I'm
beauty of
built.
comics. You don't have to read it in order. You don't have to read it at all. You could just look
Yeah,
at the pictures. It's kind of fantastic. It's kind
I
of a
swear.
fantastic medium.
It's amazing, Bob, because I think like when I think about like all the comics I collected as a kid, and I probably started when I was like seriously when I was 10 or 12 or something like that. I think there's like I probably didn't actually read most of them.
Hmm.
I probably just bought them and looked through them and like kind of like and if I liked a panel, I would sort of like read the balloon. But otherwise, like I
Hmm.
I probably read so few of them.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
yeah, I mean, unless it was like, some Charlton Flintstone comic or something like that, where it was easier,
Yes.
easier to read than
Yeah.
not.
Less backstory in those.
Yeah, yeah, no asterisks trying to explain what happened
As seen in Barney Rubble number 15.
3 issues ago. Yeah, exactly. The cross continuity between uh,
Frank
Dino
Comicra.
and the rebels. Yeah, that didn't happen too much at Charlton. Uh, they had a lot of problems there. Well, anyway, this was fun, Bob.
This was
Uh,
great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for chatting.
Absolutely.
Always a always a
I always
pleasure.
I always enjoy hearing what you're thinking about comics because I think you do great work, and
Oh, thank you.
we have a lot of overlap, but then there's a lot of stuff that you are familiar with that I'm not. So I like sort of seeing where we fall.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's how you learn, and you get new things in your arsenal and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. Did you wanna Before we go, did you wanna
look that
Google
up.
Google that? Shall I play some traveling music or something?
Yeah, give me 1 second, or we can vamp for a minute. Uh,
Sure.
uh,
Stick with us. This is going to be fantastic.
well, I like to be specific about it.
Yes, as well you should. I feel because they could watch this and then they'll be like, "Fuck, they didn't fucking mention my name."
Oh well, gosh. I mean, just to clarify, I've done Carousel, my show, my comics performance show for over 20 years, and I've had over 300 guests. So there's a lot of people I didn't mention. Uh,
Right.
um,
Yeah. Yes. That's a lot of shows.
yeah, I'm afraid I'm choking here. Hopefully this will work. Oh, come on. You know what? It's not like
What are you searching?
I'm I'm searching I'm searching the name of that um I'm searching the name of that service where people do live drawing. Uh,
Oh, 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 oh.
what we deliver. I guess there's no specific name for it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm
But
not
they're
looking.
called, I mean, Lloyd Dangle is describing them as explainer graphics
Okay.
and visual storytelling to help conceptualize products. And I'm sorry, this is a rabbit hole I did not mean to go under.
But
In
it's amazing. I didn't even know that that was a thing. So that's really, really informational for me. I mean, that's instructional.
Well, I have on occasion taught a class at Parsons called um, Performance and Play, and I've co-taught it with a few people, and with Jonathan Rosen.
Okay.
Um, he and I started it,
Okay.
and it's about incorporating like visuals and drawing into live performance. So it's a whole thing.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Oh, and here
That's
we go. I'm sorry, I looked up Sarah Firth, who's another person. It's called graphic recording. And that's
Oh,
basically you're like visualizing while people are giving a lecture, and you're sort of like you're note taking with like pictograms, I guess is a good way
right.
of putting it.
That's
So they call it
fascinating.
graphic recording. So Sarah Firth was in Carousel last year. She's great. She was visiting America, and
Okay.
our website. So
Okay. That's really interesting. I had no idea that was a thing. That's good to
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Oh, so I should ask, like, what's on the shelves right now? What's coming? What should we know?
Of me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Because
I
there's going to be at least 12 million people watching this.
all right.
Bob, you should know, so you should sell something
I I'm
right
happy to sell. We'll go to my publisher,
right
Drawn
now.
Quarterly,
Okay.
and you'll find all my recent books.
Okay.
And I'm currently oh, the cat wants to get out. I'm going to open the door.
Okay.
Oh, the suspense. There you go. Okay.
Look at those bookshelves. Look how beautiful they are.
So I'm working on an adaptation. It's not even an adaptation. It's an illustrated version of the Declaration of Independence,
Okay.
and it's going to be a two-sided book. So one side is called Declaration Illustrated, and the other
Okay.
side is called Emancipation Illustrated, and the other side is the Emancipation Proclamation Illustrated.
Wow.
So if you've seen my book, Constitution Illustrated, it's the entire
Okay.
text of the Constitution drawn in 110 different comic styles. So
Okay.
a portion of the text is broken down and illustrated using different characters.
Okay. And that's you could go to Drawn and Quarterly's website and
Yes,
get that.
yes. Or your local bookstore,
You go to your local
or
bookstore.
some corporation not starting with A.
You could not go to a corporation. You could go to your local comic book store,
Yes, yes.
request it there, perhaps.
I got a whole bunch of books out there. So yeah, but that's the
That's cool.
current.
It's true. It's true. You got a lot of books, but that's good. But that's really cool. Well, that's good. So the final thing I wanted to say to you was it. So what did we do the last time we met? Oh, we went to see art.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we had lunch, and you and our friend Tom Daly were having a conversation about lettering. Or I guess maybe I was quiet, and you and Tom, and I was between you and Tom, but I was listening. I was taking it all in, and you and Tom were talking about lettering, and you turned to me and you said, you said, "I'm sorry, is this really boring?" And I was like, "Boring? How could this be boring? It's lettering. This is the lifeblood of what we do. This is amazing. Please continue." There's nothing to small or incidental that we shouldn't talk about. I mean,
Well, I'm
um
happy to hear that.
yeah. I mean, next time we talk, maybe we could talk about lettering,
Sure.
or bookshelves or
I,
whatever.
I have a lot to say about lettering. So
That's good.
wait to be bored.
No, no. I mean, do they still teach this stuff? I don't even know. It's like, I mean, you should. I don't know. I don't know. You should know how to letter. You should know what good lettering is.
I think
And
yeah, I'm sure there are still classes on lettering. We don't have them at Parsons. We don't have a comics curriculum per se.
gotcha.
We have classes that are focused on comics. In my class, some of my students make comics, which is great, but that's not like the specialty of the class. So we don't have specific lettering lessons
Okay.
or classes built around it. You should talk to Jason Little at SVA because they all have a whole other, I'm sure they'll go into lots of detail about that. So.
Right. Right.
And
That's
certainly
true.
when I was teaching at the Center for Cartoon Studies, big hand lettering fans up there. So
That's okay. That's good. That's good to know.
yeah.
But also, you and I were talking about, you and Tom and I were talking about digital lettering, and
Mhm.
this is all really fascinating. And
Yeah.
I don't know, any if there's nothing boring about comics. I mean, for us anyway.
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
if an accountant were here, they might be snoozing by now.
Yeah, if
But
you watched an hour of this, you're okay with lettering talk.
yeah, yeah, you might be scratching your head about Charlton Flintstone comics, but
Yeah, maybe.
look it up. I mean, it's worthwhile. Sincerely. All right, Bob. Well, I'm gonna put on my air conditioner.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit end on the record. I'm gonna stop recording, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank you for
Bob.
having me. This was really fun.
I had a great time.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording now. Wait. What the? Okay, stop and stop. Wait, no, hold on. Stop recording.